the mysterious FBI seizure. On the 7th of January 1943, Tesla was found in his hotel room collapsed on the floor with a suspected death caused by coronary thrombosis at the age of 86 while still in New York. Though many have often argued his true cause of death, few doubt the newly declassified evidence of the Federal Bureau of Investigation going into Tesla's hotel room shortly after his death and retrieving all of the inventor's notes and papers under the ownership of the United States government. Given the context of the year, at the height of the Second World War, the United States government had heard of the claims that Nikola Tesla had invented a weapon that he referred to as a death ray, and feared that such a weapon in the hands of their enemies could prove to change the tide of the war dramatically. It is for this reason that the United States military claimed that the retrieval and study of the inventor's notes were of the highest issue of national security and led to the FBI seizure of more than 2 truckloads of notes written by the inventor. Even more peculiar, however, the United States government would send an engineer by the name of Dr. John G. Trump, the current president, Donald Trump's uncle, to investigate the claims of the death ray and retrieve the supposed briefcase containing the weapon from the Hotel New Yorker. After almost 10 years of legal battle, Tesla's nephew, Sava Kosanovich, was declared the rightful owner of all of Nikola Tesla's estate, and was provided the government-retrieved materials and notes sent to his house in Belgrade, Serbia. Oddly enough, even though the FBI recorded roughly 80 trunks of the notes that were recovered from the hotel, only 60 trunks were sent to Belgrade, leaving many to assume that the remaining 20 trunks are still being hidden by the United States government to this day. New dinosaur colors and designs. As paleontologists have spent the last several decades uncovering a wide variety of fossilized remains of prehistoric creatures across the Earth's distant past, they have made a number of incredible discoveries surrounding the classification of dinosaurs and their prehistoric behaviors. Such findings include full dinosaur skeletons, millions of individual species, modern-day descendants, and entire sites of sudden mass graves indicating periods in history of mass extinction events able to be clearly defined. Many of these discoveries helped the world of paleontology to recreate accurate depictions of such animals, with the sole exception that the colors of the species have long since been a mystery. Up until 2006, researchers believed that it would be impossible to ever uncover the mystery as to what a dinosaur's true colors were, given the fact that the pigments in the skin did not survive, and in the special cases in which textures of the skin were preserved or feathers of dinosaurs recovered, there was little proof as to whether the pigments recorded were the actual pigments of the dinosaur or were caused via chemical processes over time. Back in 2006, however, lead researcher Jacob Vinther made an incredible discovery surrounding fossilized ink sacs of 200-million-year-old squid species that demonstrated interesting ways in which the ink preserved itself over countless eons. This led to the research uncovering new methods at locating traces of color pigments that could have survived within the feathers of dinosaurs and could be worked with to recreate a more accurate depiction of the ancient creature's colors. Although this theory was immediately questioned, with opponents claiming that his findings were nothing more than fossilized bacteria deposits, it was not until 2010 that his findings allowed 2 teams to independently recreate the colors of extinct species, proving his findings. This has led to a number of new discoveries, with previously held theories surrounding color and camouflage being completely thrown out the window as the true colors of long-forgotten species are being discovered for the first time. Previously held theories had assumed that dinosaurs possessed nothing more than dull colors of browns, greys, and blacks, similar to how large animals today, such as elephants and whales, possess such colors. However, using this new theory, researchers are now aware of the tremendously wide-ranging and bright colors used by ancient species, including the Anchiornis huxley, of which is now known to have possessed a bright red crest with black and white stripes across its body. The Black Lady of Bradley Woods. Back in 1460, during the War of the Roses, a strange story was told that spoke of a young woodsman, his wife and their baby son that lived in a small cottage located within the Bradley Woods. According to the legend, the woodsman went off to fight in the Civil War to protect his home, and so every day the wife took the baby to wait by the edge of the forest to wait for the husband to come home. After some time had passed with no information of the returning husband, the wife noticed strange people, of whom were most likely the enemy army that were crossing the Humber. As she tried to race back to her cottage, she was attacked by 3 men who assaulted her and took her baby. In a desperate delusion, the wife then began searching everywhere for the husband and son all throughout the forest before collapsing from exhaustion. It's this story that has led to the myth of the Black Lady of Bradley Woods, the story that parents tell their children within the village of Bradley, Lincolnshire, with the warning that if their children are not in bed before dark, then the Black Lady of the Woods would take you thinking you were her child. Who put Bella in the Wych Elm? Seen as one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the United Kingdom, the question who put Bella in the Wych Elm has gone on to directly impact popular culture and leave many wondering what really happened back in 1941 involving an unsolved homicide case that detectives were a little too quick to dismiss. Back on the 18th of April in 1943, located on the Hagley estate belonging to Lord Cobham near Wychbury Hill, 4 boys found the decomposed remains of a human body stuck inside the hollow trunk of a large wych elm tree. This led to an immediate investigation made by the local police, who used the help of Professor James Webster, a forensic examiner, to better deconstruct the nature of the killing and locate any clues as to how the murder took place. He found that the body belonged to an unidentified Jane Doe, of whom had been strangled, given the evidence of pieces of a taffeta discovered in her mouth. Webster then concluded that the body was most likely placed within the hollow trunk of the tree while it was still warm, and the killing had been fresh due to the fact that rigor mortis, once set in, would prevent it from having been stuffed inside the trunk. Unfortunately, the police were unable to identify the body of the woman, and so no further action had been taken when it came to the investigation of the murder of the Jane Doe, and the murder was immediately deemed a cold case. It was not until 1944 when a strange graffiti message popped up related to the mystery that said, "Who put Bella down the wych elm, Hagley Wood?" Not only did this help give investigators a clue as to the identity of the individual, but it showed that a secret conspiracy had been brewing amongst anonymous individuals keeping tabs on the investigation. Shortly thereafter, police were able to identify a missing woman from a 1944 report concerning a prostitute that had worked on the Hagley Road, reportedly having gone missing back in 1941. Unfortunately, given the nature of the woman's line of work, the police would not continue an investigation into the matter further. Today, the answer to the question who put Bella down the wych elm remains a mystery. The Monte Prama Giants. The discovery of the giants of Monte Prama in Sardinia has enchanted experts for decades. The stone sculptures were first unearthed in the area of Monte Prama, located near the village of Cabras, when a farmer experienced extreme difficulty ploughing his land. Taking a closer look, he was shocked to find a stone remnant sticking up from the ground, which after digging unveiled itself to be a humongous stone head with double carved eyes. This marked the first sighting of the Monte Prama giants in centuries. Between 1975 and 1979, 5,000 pieces were recovered from the site, which ranged from heads and torsos of statues to large models of buildings, sacred stones, and giants' graves. The exact date the statues were created is still unclear. Hypotheses have fluctuated between the Final Bronze Age and Iron Age. What is certain, though, is the Monte Prama giants mark the first statues of that size and nature discovered in European history. Archaeologist Miriam Sharf Balmuth calls it the most extraordinary find of the century in the realm of art history. But the knowledge coming from the Monte Prama giants goes a lot further than art history. It teaches us a considerable amount about Sardinian culture nearly 3,000 years ago. The material of the statues show that Sardinia was a rich land with access to exported goods such as metal through worldwide trade. Furthermore, The aesthetic of the statues with their double carved eyes is one not seen before and reveals avant-garde techniques of the time which must have come from the different cultures and artistic influences in Sardinia. The layout of the statues when discovered is also extremely interesting. Alongside the discovery of the Monte Prama statues were numerous stone slabs and tombs with large statues placed above them, almost as if the statues were there to guard this site. Furthermore, not all the statues look like they were stone warriors. 2 statues in particular have been discovered which look different to the others. These 2 statues are wearing footwear and cone-shaped headwear, the clothing that would have been adorned by a magician or a priest. This has led experts to believe the site was once a heroon, a type of sanctuary dedicated to a hero. They suggest this heroon might have been used by the Sardinians to celebrate deceased nobles. A final mystery still remains, namely why the statues were destroyed into 1,000 pieces. Some of the deconstruction was partially brutal. Statues have had their heads taken off and their eye lines erased. Whether these impressive sculptures were destroyed by explorers, internal wars, or conquerors is unknown, and it looks like it will remain that way.